Hi, my name is Abby Hutchinson, and this is my final story project. Before we begin, a quick summary of my project is that I'm going to be speaking to seniors in high school that want to pursue a career as a nurse practitioner. The setting is going to be 10 years from now, online through a PowerPoint presentation. It is important to note that my original plan was to use a private study room at my apartment complex. However, due to the holidays, they have closed that area. So I'm going to be speaking as though I am on a live Zoom call, presenting this PowerPoint to students at an assembly. Hello students, my name is Abby Hutchinson, and I'm a registered nurse practitioner. I'm here to talk to you today about what it takes to become a nurse practitioner. And I'm going to do that by sharing my own personal story, in hopes that it not only educates, but inspires you to follow this very rewarding and incredible job. Before we begin and get into the technical and educational aspects of nursing school, I need to explain to you that if you want to go into this field, you must have a purpose or a passion for this job. So I ask you, why do you want to become a nurse? Now, I work at a hospital, and I specialize in the neonatal intensive care unit, better known as the NICU. My purpose for becoming a nurse in this field is my love for newborns. And not only that, but an experience I went through at the young age of 13, when my younger cousin was admitted into the NICU. When I watched him go through months in the NICU, it created a realization that I wanted to pursue this path as my career. A good way to realize why you want to become a nurse is by creating a purpose statement. My purpose statement helped me realize why I had such a passion for this field. My statement is, by using my organizational skills and love for newborns, my purpose is to become a neonatal nurse in the intensive care unit and take care of newborns. Take a moment right now and create your purpose statement. Purpose statements make up the reasoning behind why you want to pursue this career. And go a little bit further and try to imagine yourself in a certain field, because nursing has so many different paths you can go into. During school, I reached out to a registered nurse, and she gave me great advice that I want to share with you. She said that this is a perfect career if you want to work full-time, part-time, or need time off when you have a family. Remember, you have to like people to be a nurse. So, once you realize why you want to go into this field, then we can begin talking about the academic aspect. So, take a moment and think about your purpose statement and share with the person next to you. Let's talk about the beginning of my academic career. I began my schooling at a community college known as Valencia College, located in Orlando, Florida. The degree I pursued was an associate's in science, specializing in nursing. I took the traditional track, which was classes during the daytime. There are many requirements that I needed to be accepted into this program. I had to maintain a 3.0, take prerequisites, and pass an entrance exam. It took me 2 years to complete my associate's degree in nursing, but this degree allowed me to successfully become a registered nurse. While everyone's path is different, I got my RN degree at Valencia because it was more affordable and attainable, and worked well with my schedule at the time. The cost of college can get quite expensive, so I highly recommend doing what I did, which was acquiring multiple scholarships. The 2 scholarships I received were the Bright Futures as well as a volleyball scholarship. Therefore, my cost was only made up of housing at the time, which was around a little bit under $800 a month for off-campus student housing. Taking into account food and additional expenses, I would say throughout those 2 years receiving my associate's degree each month, I probably spent about $1,200, which is sustainably less than if we were to not have received those 2 scholarships. What got me through my 2 years at Valencia College was reaching out to programs and groups at Valencia that are designed to help students successfully pass their classes and receive their degrees. I participated in tutoring, online seminars, and study programs. I highly recommend that you do this when you begin your college path. So, would you pursue your degree at a 2-year community college? Or would you do something different? Where do you see yourself going to school? Take a moment now and talk to the people next to you, and then let me know what you think is best for you. After completing my associate's degree as a registered nurse at Valencia, I applied to transfer to the University of Central Florida. The University of Central Florida allowed me to begin my path to becoming a nurse practitioner. To successfully become a nurse practitioner, you have to receive your bachelor's, which is an additional 2 years, totaling to 4 years of nursing school. Since I was no longer on a volleyball scholarship, the only scholarship I had was Bright Futures, which covered the cost of my tuition and books. After I subtracted that from my total cost of attending college, I was left with about $1,800 a month for housing and additional costs. I highly recommend that you create a budget before you begin college to successfully and accurately plan out the amount of money you need to save and acquire to be financially responsible while you're completing your degree. If you look to the left, I have a picture of the total expenses I go through every semester during college. As you can see, most of my budget comes from housing, as well as food, transportation, education, and then I also set aside an extra $50 each month to use as emergency money. A tip I would recommend for you students is to overestimate how much money you plan on spending. That way you are less likely to go into any form of debt. Everyone's budget is going to look a little differently depending on which scholarship you received, or if you're getting additional help from family members, or if you have saved up personal money. But regardless of your budget or access to money, I highly recommend creating a budget to be successful during nursing school. The very first thing I did right after I graduated nursing school was I reached out to nurses that I knew had lots of experience and asked them for advice. I asked them what I should do to add to my resume and what certain fields look for. So, from there I went to seminars and applied for multiple internships just so I could build my resume, which is what I highly recommend that you do, because the more experienced you are before you apply for jobs, the better of a candidate you appear to be, and will have a better chance of finding a job much faster than not adding to your resume at all. I've been a nurse practitioner for over 8 years now, and what I've learned is that every day is different, and there's always something new going on. Being a nurse practitioner means you're put in a fast-paced and at times stressful environment. This career requires a lot of patience, care, and understanding because you're taking care of somebody's life, and that can be overwhelming for some patients. A day in the life of a nurse practitioner means you're going to be taking care of patients while properly educating families and showing them emotional support while providing advice all at the same time. You have to be able to evaluate the condition of the patient, observe, record, and administer medication, all while being able to handle complicated medical equipment and assist doctors during medical procedures. Now, this is the definition and description of a general nurse, but to be more specific to my job as a NICU nurse, I have to be responsible for the care and treatment of newborn infants suffering from illness or prematurity, as well as caring for their parents' and guardians' needs, which can be reassurance or providing them a safe place to go when they need to process information, and even providing them advice and emotional support. As a nurse, you have to be able to multitask, and sometimes that means taking care of not only your patient, but your patient's family's mental health. It can be very stressful at times, which is why we go back to what I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, which is to be successful and love your job. As a nurse practitioner, you need to have a passion for this field and helping people, or you might not enjoy your job as a nurse. Finally, let's talk about some nursing skills that you must have to be successful in this field. You need to have social skills, and you have to be able to be personable with the patient and their families. You also need to have organizational skills and common sense. You must be compassionate because you are dealing with kids, and especially infants when they're in the NICU. Sometimes they do thrive off of how you talk to them and how you can connect with them, and overall just be a comforting figure for them. You need to have patience and understanding, not just with the patient, but with their families as well. Sometimes the results we have to give to the family are not what they're going to want to hear, and you have to be patient with how they respond to those results and be understanding of their feelings. You need to be able to sympathize with the families and take care of, at times, more than one patient. This means you need to be able to do multiple important tasks at once and be able to handle them all with no issues, because as a nurse, our job is so important that we cannot afford to mess up. But with all that said and done, being a nurse practitioner is the most rewarding job I have ever done, and I love the career path I went on. and hopefully you will too. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I had to say about my career path as a nurse practitioner. I hope I inspire every one of you to pursue this path, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much.